Welcome to BizIn30 Sales Call Edition. I'm Jim Grund, the co-founder and co-host of today's mini episode. Jim Casper, our other co-founder, and I will present proven skills for sales professionals, business owners, and want their businesses and teams to be number one in their industry. Remember, everyone sells. Let me introduce you to Jim Casper.
Thank you very much. And you are correct. Everyone sells. Now that kind of reminds me of a story. There was this man that walked into a very high-end shoe store, Jim, and he was looking around and put a pair of shoes on, and the saleswoman came up to him and said, how do they fit? And he said, well, they're a little tight. She said, okay, let me take a look. And she leans over and she looks at his shoes and she said, try pulling the tongue out. And he goes, they're still a little tight.
Oh, what a great story. And you know what? That's a lesson in communication. You always have to be clear with your customer, and effective communication is very important.
Right you are. So now let's begin with a couple of questions. The first question would be, what's the number one thing people like to talk about?
Well, I think most people I know like to talk about themselves. How about you?
Right you are again. Most people do like to talk about themselves, and that's very important in selling. What's the number one formula for sales success in customer discovery?
70% listening, 20% questioning, and 10% telling. That would sure get customers talking about themselves, I would think.
That's exactly what you want them talking about. The 70-20-10 principle for sales discovery success is important for three reasons. You can never learn about a customer's needs if you're telling. If you're doing the talking, you can never learn about what they want. Number two, by listening, you will learn their key issues and their goals. And number three, by writing a list of questions before you talk to the customer, you guide the way the conversation's going to go. And many people ask me, well, what happens when I get in front of a customer and they say, well, tell me about yourself? The proper way to handle that is, I would love to tell you about myself. I can't wait, but I don't want to waste your time. I have a few questions here. Let's find out what's important to you. And then ask your list of questions.
Not only will that 70-20-10 guide and control the direction of the conversation, but you're learning about your customer first instead of telling them about you and your company increases your chances of closing the sale and shortening the sales cycle.
That's true, Jimmy. The 70-20-10 principle I have used time and again, successfully, I might add. So let me give you an example, Jim. This brings to mind a case when I was in business. We were headquartered in Colorado. We had a potential client in Florida, and he asked if I would fly out there to Florida to spend about an hour, 90 minutes with him and to make a presentation. I had a group of about 7 managers in this. They said, well, tell us about yourself. And with 7 managers there, it's hard to know who wants to know what. So I said, why don't we do this? In order to get right down to the point and not waste your time, because time is limited here, let me ask you a few questions about yourselves. So I made a list of questions here and I'm going to read them. So the questions I asked each manager were, what is your stake in the project? What do you see as your team's needs? How will you measure the project's success? What would you like to see from your customer-facing employees? And what will be your decision criteria? By the way, not once did they mention price. So this went on for about 90 minutes. And as we came to the conclusion of the meeting, I asked, is there any questions? No, there weren't any questions. About 90 minutes, they were ready to go. So the gentleman that was chairing the meeting said to me, he said, we didn't learn anything about you. I said, well, this whole thing is about you, not me. So what I'll do is use this information that I've gathered, and I'll send it to you in a proposal within the next few days. And it will explain everything that we can do for you and how we can satisfy your need. Over and over and over again, I've used this, and it worked.
Well, that brings us to our number one lesson. Selling isn't telling, listening is. And number two, let them tell you what to tell them. The bottom line, did you land the contract?
Absolutely, I landed it. Thank you for asking.
In the next Business 30 Sales Call mini episode, We're going to explore that 7-20-10 a little bit further. Questions to ask the customers, regardless of their industry. If you'd like a list of these sales questions we presented, they're listed on our website, BizIn30.com. That's BIZIN30. Also, while on our website, please send us your questions, your suggestions, any topic ideas in the message section. And then follow us on rumble.com, YouTube under BizIn30.com, Spotify, LinkedIn, and True Social, along with Instagram. We thank you so much, and we're going to see you next time.
Thank you.